Okay, greetings and welcome to the Hawkeye Rising YouTube channel. We are trying camera again. And September 6th, almost half past 11. Hopefully this is, hopefully we're on. I'm just refreshing my YouTube page and it's hanging up. Interesting. How are you? How are you all doing? Just me, and that's just fine. I thought I'd take a couple minutes and just in addition to, I caught a bit of my goodness, still hanging up. Okay. If you haven't seen Johnny's stream today, caught a bit of it and wanted to, the link will be in the description. And actually, it's funny with the Odyssey, I've had it before where, okay, this is interesting. Pearl, it used to be just Pearly Things YouTube channel. It's been recently, in the last little bit, changed to just Pearl. Hannah Pearl Davis, I believe, which I've uploaded a short video to my channel maybe 6 or so months ago. Again, the fact that she discusses her Roman Catholic education, that's so far what I've heard. I don't know if she was actually raised Roman Catholic, comes from a seemingly large family. And I don't have the exact date, but her channel is what, just over, I think, a year old, maybe a year and a half or so, maybe just a little longer, almost 2 years. And she's almost at 2 million, I think 1.7 or 1.8 million subscribers. So excessive. And of course, there's the term red pill and so on, manosphere, a lot of different channels, and she's what, 26, 27-ish. And recently, again, don't have the date offhand, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I have to kill the camera again. This is just about trying it again. Whoa. Okay, I'll kill the camera. And so, okay, at least we still got my audio. Okay. Maybe. Anyway, Pearl recently had Bill Hicks, Alex Jones on her show. Or one of them, for about an hour plus interview. I don't have talking points yet. I don't know if I'll get to it, but interesting to note. And sorry, this is okay. Sounds like I got audio, but my picture's frozen again. Okay, we'll go ahead. Okay, so back to Bill Hicks, Alex Jones on Pearl YouTube channel. Okay, we are. I'm going to try to share my screen. It's funny. I think I tried sharing my screen last time, and it didn't. Either I didn't click on something proper. What some of today's topics on Johnny Cerrucci's Odyssey channel. Brilliant discussions. I'll do basically, instead of just writing an email and have everybody's eyes glaze over, I thought I'd just quickly run make a few link and YouTube channel mentions, and at your convenience, please feel free to check them out. Somebody had asked about like the idea of a bug out bag and so on, certain items, and of course having matches, which may not. Hey, remember, it's having different measures of certain items that might add to the redundancy, but in certain things, like say fire for warmth, for cooking, for light, for peace of mind, psychological peace of mind. Because again, whether the environment is permissive or non-permissive, sometimes you can't have a fire. And it's not that we're going down that rabbit hole at the moment, but nonetheless, it's this idea though. So if you're going to have a knife, got to have literally a high carbon steel knife. Full tang is best, but with a sharp 90-degree spine. And some knives come with a black coating. You'll have to remove that, especially on the spine. If I had a picture, I'd show off mine. But nonetheless, it wasn't named, but somebody had mentioned, I think, referencing and having the name escape them. But it's the shortened term is a ferro, Ferro rod, a ferro rod or a ferrocerium rod. A ferro rod, you're scraping off reactive materials from the rod with a scraper or so instead of having a scraper, you would use the spine of your knife, the 90-degree spine. It's like flint and steel. You're scraping off the steel with a knife. If that steel is high carbon and high enough hardness, it will react in the friction and oxygen to create a small spark. So, because I can't show you, actually, if my bloody hell, if my channel is showing this, hopefully the screen sharing is working. All right. Okay, good. Looks like my channel is showing. All right. Now, that's okay. We'll go through this. I know the audio doesn't come through, but highly recommended. Why you will get cut defending against a knife. This is perhaps the martial arts journey YouTube channel. Now, this video published the 1st of October 2018, perhaps the best, the most realistic knife defense video ever produced that exists. Looks like our host of the video, the creator of the video, Rokas, I believe is his name, has an Aikido background, discusses his techniques for knife defense in class. Certain things didn't apply, but what we're clearly going against what's classically shown, what people do in the real world situations. This is Hollywood version. Clearly, a woman. No, you're not going to be able to grab a knife and then slice the 3 attackers. Yeah. How is this working? Is this apply real world? Yeah, of course. And of course, it's the mockery of what we've been shown. And then here you go. No, you're old Hawkeye. I have never been present. Let's see. No, I can. No, never been stabbed, but I've been cut with scalpels, and I wasn't conscious. And so I can't speak from specific experience. Nonetheless, I will put a link for this video again, which is brilliant. But the beauty, though, is remembering, and this is something to remember while viewing or reviewing this video, is the way the masculine body is created, the way we're set up, where veins are, where arteries are, just our upper torso, arms and chest. I can't. Anyway, this man, brilliant descriptions. Simple, complex weapon at the same time. Simply because anyone can grab a knife and hurt you. Complex because it doesn't have patterns. It's too fast, too chaotic. It's a weapon that. Oh, come on. We're gonna get a. Okay, I missed it. So anyway, read the text. Go back, pause it. Again, I will put a link. This is a brilliant, and I just wanted to show, where is it? Okay, this idea. This understanding, basic understanding of human anatomy, which I've presented before. If you don't have a body, at the very least, even, whether it's used, who cares? A body atlas book. Remember, what did oh my goodness, one of my opening videos with the Terminator 2 Judgment Day, where Schwarzenegger's character, the T-800, is performing, I think, either removing bullets or, from Linda Hamilton's character, Sarah Connor, removing bullets, sewing up in wounds. And she said, you probably have detailed. No, he says he has. John Connor, I believe, asks, how do you know what you're doing? Basically, paraphrasing here. How do you know what you're doing? Well, and then Schwarzenegger's character, I have detailed files about human anatomy. And Linda Hamilton's character, Sarah Connor, says it probably makes you a more efficient killer. And his response is deadpan, yes. So basic understanding of human anatomy. Of course, there's to be if in part we're to learn how to be smart type weapons ourselves in any kind of defensive measure. This is good to know. But again, this is a brilliant layout, brilliant description of where our vulnerable parts, where we have seemingly built-in natural armor, especially males, heavy brow ridge, and under the heavy brow ridge, of course. Yes, if that part is cut, even though not a lot can be harmed at that point, like around our forehead, it still pours blood. But the fact that the male brow ridge does protect the eyes, but obviously below where is it? Yeah. So here, so you go from protected to non-protected. This is brilliant the way it's laid out. A natural chest protector with our pectoral muscles and a rib cage, and then of course just below that the soft organs, of course, small intestine. Even learning the place of the liver. You get stabbed somewhere, you'll need. It's good to know, or you come upon somebody, you have somebody, whether it's a loved one or somebody needs help, where they are knowing where they're wounded, what kind of time you may have, and then the know-how on how to, basically what to do. How about that though? The basic fact of keeping a cool head. Do you know if you can stand the sight of blood? What about so somebody else's blood, then your own blood? Fascinating topics. So anyway, I will put the link in the description. This is the most, I think, one of the best night videos ever produced. Very common sense. It's got some brilliant insights, and the reality, you're going to get cut unless you're able to run away. But if you're not able to run away, and that meaning you can't run yourself, or you have to stay put in order to protect others. Okay, it's acknowledging, oh yeah, you're going to get cut, but how do you minimize the damage? So again, brilliant. Okay. Wranglers. I haven't been on this channel for a long time. There is I know the captain had the topic of night vision at some point. Sorry, I can't remember the order of topics at the moment. I haven't seen it all, but I remember night vision coming up. And there was a video that this channel had done about night vision, and I can't find it. But nonetheless, here's a short. I'll put the link again in the description, but just a brilliant, just some ideas on how to deal with something like what you're looking at and using certain household items. And I like at the end, it's not like he's going forth and saying, do this, do that, but just presenting and then summing it up and act accordingly. Great information on this channel. I think, professional homeowner. But there's some insights with protecting your own property. And so, of course, again, link in the description. Dan the Fireman YouTube channel. Brilliant channel. Obviously, it's I know it says fireman, but this is actually a motorcycle after. And not okay. How do I phrase it? After action analysis. So it's basically post crash analysis. What can we learn from others' videoed mistakes? Sometimes some are worse than others. The worst motorcycle crash of 2021. And right away, so we've got the point of view of adventure or off-road riding, but what's amazing about this situation? So you have a fall. Yeah, there's two different channels that are going to be involving woolly beards. So this isn't about taking a piss on woolly beards, but it's just, hey, guys got them, and they're clearly, that's their thing. And so we're not going to get stuck on the beards, because again, great presentation of content. We have an impaling here. So you imagine this, and what's fascinating about this is that do you call him the patient? So the rider basically stick through the thigh, but as the situation gets broken down, you'll learn. I can't remember how many people are around this man, and the fact that the man with the stick in his leg is the only one with a cool head. So there's something about that psychologically. If we're called anything, okay, how do we prepare to the best of our ability to, and in a way, to be the one with a cool head when shit's happening all around you? Making decisions in the moment, supposedly wise decisions, or the best decisions for yourself, and best decisions if you have family or loved ones or others in your care. But it is this scene, this accident scene breakdown, and I think the channel he's reviewing from, it cuts the scene short, but then Dan the fireman goes and finds the video, and then is able to look further into it, and then in order to break it down, and then also too, again, listening to in real time how others are responding. Like, sure, they're there to be supportive, but they don't get the job. They don't get the job done because they don't know what to do. And then thinking that whether it's a word of encouragement, okay, is a word of encouragement going to help the man with a stick through his leg? At this point, you don't see an arterial bleed, and of course, again, even just being able to, what's the difference between an arterial and a venous bleed? Like simple things like that. So, and what's amazing, this channel, they Dan the fireman has also put together rescue packs, so a first aid kit with certain items like a tourniquet or two, and trauma shears, and a bunch of other things, wound packing, and so on. And that's for the common motorcycle rider, because it's either for yourself or for others. And that's one of this channel's goals, is obviously training motorcycle riders to being useful at an accident scene, or obviously for yourself, but also for others if you come across an accident, or you're with someone who has an accident. The gray bearded. Okay, so again, link will be put in the description. The gray bearded Green Beret. Fantastic. It's been a while since I've looked at any of this stuff, and it was cool. JP a few, maybe many briefs ago, had mentioned about unwinding and watching bushcraft videos, and it, in part, the Gray Bearded Green Beret has a brilliant look at how simple. So short videos. I've not seen any of these recent ones. It's been a while, but how relevant. From fire prep, leg splints, knife and tool safety and maintenance, tourniquets. This is brilliant. He also has put together an IFAC, an individual first aid kit. Improvising bleeding kit. Yeah, here's the individual first aid kit, but nonetheless, so medical kits. A bug out bag. Why a bug out bag? Firearm discussion. Poncho shelters. Knots. Brilliant. It's good to know. So at least 1, 2, 7 knots. Finding water. Hiding a cache. Bug out bag full version, which is almost an hour. Contingency plans, and I think there was. Anyway, brilliant channel, again, just as a resource, and this is your Hawkeye suggestion. What's very common sense, very well explained. It's no bullshit. And that's the beauty of the way this, again, just presentation. Clearly, there's thought into this, even a measure of production value, and that's, hey, look at this in the Ultralight Bug Out 2.0. It's brilliant video, just under 30 minutes, over 2.5 million views. Because there's something here. Speaking of where is it? For what would I say? Aesthetics. Here's a channel. It's been a while. What's up, bros? It's about that time again. Brilliant young, when these were created. This is 4 years ago. Wow. So it's been a while since any uploads, but this young man, again, just breaking down some of his gear, some of his kit, and there's an air of humor, so making it a little fun. Alfie Aesthetics, I'll put that in the link, description below. So I've covered Gray Bearded Green Beret, Wrangler Star, the knife, martial arts journey, why you get cut defending against a knife, and then I wanted to just, obviously I'm playing this, and the audio is not going to be coming through, but this for me, years, I think, so the film with Liam Neeson and a bunch of other named actors. 2012-ish, 2011, 2012. I can't remember the production time, whether this was before or after or even during the untimely death of Neeson's wife, Natasha Richardson, had a fall on the ski hill, hit her head. Yeah, as we're told. Nonetheless, this scene, profound for me. Yes, Jesuit theater, but it still illustrates. You have a man with an arterial bleed, in an extreme circumstance, so a plane crash in the Alaska, harsh weather. This man's going to die, and all the surviving men. It's not that they're in a state of they've lost their heads, but back to this idea that in the midst of nobody knowing what to do, what to say, how to be, acknowledging, okay, this person is going to probably die. And rather than going into normalcy bias and believing everything is going to be all right and everybody's going to walk away fine, and the classic Hollywood ending, like it'll be all right at the end, and it's acknowledging, okay, here's the mess before us. And this is what I appreciate about this Neeson's character. I actually have to look this up because I want to make sure I get this right. The Gray. Yeah, 2011. The Frank Grillo. Yeah, here's our hero, John Otway. Fascinating. Look at this. So released 27 January 2012 in the United States, and January 27, 3 years later to the day, Johnny Cerrucci published his first book, Illuminati Unmasked. 27 January. So just acknowledging again, here's another character like John Wick, John Rambo, Wow. I'm sure you're out there ready to throw things at me. Oh my goodness. Anyway, just Johannism in cinema. The Gray. I think I'd looked into this. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But the point is, let's go back to the scene. A man is about to die. Something's wrong. I don't feel right. Something's wrong. And then just being able to whether it's because a man leveling with another man, like, look, what you're experiencing, you're going to die. This is the reality. You're going to die. And then it's not about, well, there's the idea of how to comfort somebody in that time, but still also within a group, how do you actually to lead to, again, this idea, which I think the medical system, this idea that an authority figure, that somebody must know what they're doing. But in this case, obviously, and this is it's a brilliant scene, because in this moment where this man is freaking out, who's bleeding to death, Otway, Liam Neeson's character, is able to bring focus. Okay, you're going to die. Who do you love? Is it your daughter? Think of her. Let her be with you. Let her take you there. Is it Marion? Is it that could be argued, but certainly fascinating. And it I learned something. I can definitely say I've sat bedside a number of times when somebody's died, and it's not exactly like the scene, but I can say I learned something from this scene, and I carried that with me forward in being with people when they well, transitioned. Crazy. And certainly it's been an honor, but wow. So how do we be these kind of men? Keeping our head when others are losing theirs. So this idea of preparation, again, links will be in the description. I will check the chat. Hey, Benjamin, Eric. Good. Thank you for the suggestion. Alaska Prepper. I don't know yet, but that's good. Thank you. Hey, Lauren. Good evening. Good morning. Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking of Iron Maiden, 2 minutes to midnight. Almost there. I'm going to be signing off shortly. Unless I'm inspired to say something else about, just to wrap up. Yeah, Ringo Starr is okay, but he's one of those yeah, okay, remember, it's not it's there's some good stuff. I can't, you know what, it's interesting. I was thinking, I wish I could pull it up. I don't remember if he had said that he had come from a Seventh-day Adventist church, but I vaguely remember that he took his family out of whatever, air quotes, church that they were going to. I just want to make sure I'm reading your comment correctly. He's one of those well-resourced, which can be intimidating to those with less. Yeah, okay, yeah, I can see that. And whether or not it's the channel is is a source, is a primary source of income. I don't know enough to what I can say about that. Okay, but getting past those details, there is some great information. There is some great information, and I certainly can't criticize that at this point. I don't know enough to say more. So, but yeah, hey, we can acknowledge that again. But okay, some perpetrators seem to just ramp up the fear. Like, yeah, what an asshole. It's like it's going to happen today. The big whatever event is going to happen today. Hey, the idea of being prepared, but then it's like there's the how much is too much. It's funny. I haven't seen Canadian Pepper stuff in a long time, but I remember even like this. So if it's been a year since, I'm sure I could click on today's video and it would sound like a year ago. Seems like the Conservatives, leftist, third-party center are pretty much working for the fourth and final beast. Their actions. No, that could be said about what, Eric. That could be said about anybody, and I think you would agree. You agree too. Like, remember, and that doesn't matter what so-called part of the spectrum. Unless one back to that idea. Unless that person is able to acknowledge openly, even the fourth and final beast, Daniel, Revelation. They don't say Rome, they don't say Vatican, don't say papacy, don't say Jesuits, don't say Black Pope, don't fourth vow. Like the list, it's a short list, but it's a definitive list. If that gets left out, and remember, we're all in some way walking out of major and massive indoctrination. Like it came up on oh boy, how long? Not too long ago on the one of, I don't know, it was a Surichi team brief or a flipping tables. But this idea going back to 2015, 2014 cosmology, when it really, really broke. And there were a handful of significant names that literally the sergeants and the steers literally got out in front of the narrative and steered the narrative where it went. And nobody said Rome, Nobody said Vatican. Nobody said Jesuits. Nobody mentioned the Copernican model being published not just after Copernicus' death, and even part against his will or against his wishes. And so 1543, on the heels of the Reformation, the so-called Reformation, using their language, I don't know if we would call it the same, but just acknowledging 1517, the events leading up to that, and then leading and occurring after that. But the fact that the Copernican cosmology, as we're given, widely published 1543, then the Council of Trent promptly starting in 1545 and going until 1563. And remember, going back to 1543, what happened just before that? You had Loyola before Paul III, 1539, or even earlier, 1534, the first seven given their vows to Mary, the Queen of Heaven, on 15 August 1534. In 1540, September 27, and then the election of Ignatius Loyola as the first Jesuit Superior General, April 19th, 1541. And then everything changed. So again, this shift in our belief systems and our paradigms, 2015, how many people are still walking out of that? And how many people thought it was crazy then and have walked out of it? Heliosource. Okay, I don't know enough about this to talk about it. Heliosorcery. I know Johnny had interviewed. I can't think of his name. I'm sorry, but some great work done there. And then, of course, I think one of the most brilliant, very, very short docs put together by Mi'kmaq and Johnny. What was it even titled? But it having to do with Rome and the flat Earth. Okay. Just read the top banners headlines. Preppers seem like rampant fear just to get some radar ping. Yeah. Well, there are those that certainly it's get hit on fear. Either on both sides of it, those that produce content to create it, but also those that feed off it because of what it brings up during the experience. And I think in part that's why are horror films, brutal horror films, so popular amongst a certain demographic, a certain type of person with a certain psychological makeup. Yeah, the slasher type films and so on. That experiencing that kind of trauma, eyes open wide, staring at it, and then being able to go about your day after watching however many people be delimbed, sawn open, organs removed, flesh eaten, and that being part of a cinematic experience for many, and that's what they like, or that's even their certain favorite films. Anyway. All right, I will I'll wrap it up, okay? Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Oh, Fiestetics. Some of this, it's good. Easy game, easy life. Brilliant knife. The Becker BK7, and Alfie breaks the tip off and then has the knife reworked so all the black is removed, and it's slightly shorter. I believe I don't know what to talk about. Anyway, getting yourself a good knife with a good 90-degree spine, a 1095 steel full tang, and it's discussed. And why am I thinking K-bar? There's this particular knife. So the BK7 is like 3/16 of an inch thick, which is brilliant. There are knives that are thinner, but then K-bar also makes a knife, the BK2, which is a 1/4 inch thick. It's amazing, and obviously blade length is when it's big enough, you're able to use it as a chopper, but also for batoning. And of course, batoning is something if you don't have either a tomahawk or an axe. So again, a knife, very, very versatile tool, which is why if you're going to get one, invest in a good one, full tang, one that you like to look at, like to hold, like to use, because again, the point is using it, getting familiar with it. And I'm sure, as the captain would discuss with firearms and other items, something that you'll use and essentially practice with, not something that's neglected and then, oh yeah, here we are down here. Here's the knife reworked after having the tip broken off. All right. I think we'll wrap it up there, okay? There was a great video called the Pharmaceutic Inquisition. I've never heard of that. Not yet, at least. Because our daughters and left us unite together for natural remedies, such as cannabis is held to be. Yeah, those are totally brilliant points, brilliant discussion points. True grit, how places homestead more practical with those who farm or grow their own food. Man, will there be a time where growing your own food? Okay, speaking of which, while we're here, I don't know if it'll come up. Let's see, strawberries. Touch, sync. I don't know if these keywords will bring this. I will put a link to this short in the description as well. Whether this is what WTF is going on here. So here, smart appliance. Well, maybe not smart, but touchless. Shit. What am I saying? The on off, like the human touch activating. So you clearly see touching the faucet turns off and on the water. Touching the plastic does not. And then she goes to touch the strawberries. So it's like, what the F is going, like the fact that there's conduct, there's enough continuity, what's allowing the human body through the strawberries, through the plastic, the barrier, because you can touch the sink and it'll go on and off. Anyway, so this idea of being able to grow good food, okay, that's highly questionable. And of course, it's not saying it can't be done, but remember, if all our air, our water, our soil is tainted, there's nowhere we can run. There's nowhere we can run. And so in having to acknowledge everything has been compromised, the place we live. So, and remember that declaration back in 1540, 27 September, Regimini Militante Ecclesia, a declaration of war against all of humanity. And it's for the last 500 years, this has been so and ongoing, and which is what we're in now. What we've witnessed in Hawaii and other parts of the world with fires and so on, events and deaths. It's having the sight to see back to what Johnny presents, going for the head of the hydra that won't grow back, and that is Rome. All right, brothers and sisters, just a single guy for now, and prohibition, Hawkeye Rising. I'd come big for natural remedies when they came down with issues like cancer. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Back to this idea of normalcy bias. And then of course, what we have at our fingertips, and which I will at some point devote a small, whether it's a small portion or as long as it takes to discuss, like the idea, human. Okay, how about this? while we're still here, I'd added this short video. Okay, this is for the adults in the room. You know, we don't shit ourselves. Comme d'habitude, business as usual, and it's puppy with worms store. I did use a short portion of video. Okay, this with the most worms I've ever seen in a dog. There's this idea that, okay, we deworm our pets because we don't necessarily understand what's going on inside our animals, but we trust the experts. This is the ass end of I don't know what kind of dog, and I don't know. Okay, American bulldog full of worms. Time to go to the vet. Whether this is at I don't know. Don't know the context, but the fact that you got this little guy running around, and look what he's passing through. So this little guy, I don't know the length of the digestive system, but you think in a human being, I'm going to be forgetting, I might be getting the numbers correct. Was it 20? I'm guessing. I hate that, but what, 25 feet small intestine, 3 feet large intestine? No, I'll look this up. This is important. Human small intestine length. Look at that. The longest section is a tube. Small intestine is roughly 9 to 16 feet. So I've because of my own personal experience, which I'll get into. I'm not shy to talk about it anymore. Your old Hawkeye, holy shit, tongue in cheek or not. What I've passed again, until you have this experience, it's like cosmology. Imagine when your eyes are open to this idea of where do we actually live? If there's no curvature, measurable or observable, and what we've been presented in textbooks, and having back to this idea, like I say, 2018, May 2018 was the first time I pulled 2 plus footers out of my my rear. And that was like, okay, there's something going on here. This changes everything. And what's crazy? How about this? Over the exact timeline, so literally, the beginning of 2019 into 2020, all of 2020, 2021, you're all Hawkeye, just a regular dude. I passed. Several hundred, if not into the thousands of these things, all dead. And my position is that, okay, they're not if they're in the large intestine like this, okay, you got the issue goes all the way up the track, and this is what I present. This is there's a traffic jam essentially at the liver bile duct, into the liver, into the pancreas. And then, of course, and it's not just another digestive tract at that point, but they would be in other places of the body. But anyway, just breaching the subject, this will be important to get into at some point, because this is also part of how do we take care of ourselves, as well as how do we take care of those that are in our care, family members and animals. It's not to spread fear. It's just what's really going on in the inside. And there's nothing unique about me. Every person that I know that took the same stuff essentially had this exact same experience. And as I said, I had shared some time ago about my father, when I believe in part, say some of his tremor symptoms were linked to this in his internal world. And he said to me, just keep it to yourself. Just keep it to yourself. And then, of course, he what led to his demise, his the bottom of his esophagus, the lymph nodes swelled shut, pinching off the esophagus just before the junction at the stomach, and couldn't eat. And then, of course, a lot of other things had been going on, but that's beyond what I wanted to discuss now. So anyway, there we go. Have you ever heard of the book Back to Eden? Nope, not yet, and that's okay. Canine digestion much shorter. Yeah, sure, but that doesn't remember. How about this idea though that each of us are in the midst of divine boundaries, all have things that are critters that are native to us, and I think in parts a lot of diseases are a result of having something in us that is actually part of the inner ecosystem of another animal. So I'm not disagreeing about the digestive system being shorter or longer. That's not the point. The point is, remember, we have a common designer, common inner world, and also acknowledging, yes, we know that the canines, certainly what they do eat, their connection to the earth, certainly more exposed, direct contact with earth, grass, the curiosity of any animal, noses, tongues, mouths, and everything. And then, as any dog owner can tell you, having dogs not only lick other dogs, but they also lick their human family. And okay, and can critters be shared? And I come at it as yes, they can. And I'm there is enough out there to prove that that's certainly true. So again, it's being able to, rather than just deny this can't be possible, it is possible, and this is part of the big picture. How about look up the symptoms for what's called Ascariasis. So an overabundance of Ascaris worms in a human being, the symptomology of what's coronavirus, or renamed by the WHO, COVID-19. WHO founded on the birthday of Francis Xavier, April 7, 1948. Anti-17 cannabis, nice, a whopping $300. Hey, if you're able to get texts like that, brilliant. Good on you. Brilliant. I know that even just what I discussed in brief, iodine, text on that, and then the book is. Have you heard of RSO, Richard? No, and that's okay. If I haven't heard of it, that's good. Thank you for bringing it up. Certainly, lots of my grandmothers regaled us with stories of intestinal parasites. Yeah, how about this? The idea, though, that wasn't too long ago, there was a deparasitization process amongst families, not just pets. It was adults and the young were regularly orally. There was some sort of remedy, whether like Jennifer Daniels would discuss amongst the poor families, poor Black families, being literally just something as simple as table sugar, so refined sugar and turpentine. I think today is, because as toxic as we are, and this is in part, it's actually the high rate of parasitization. Remember, even wrapping one's head around that, and it's, remember, the roundworms, flatworms, and segmented worms, and then also then the protozoan type. So the within the blood, within the cells, there's a lot going on within the human body. It's actually it's wonderful to look at. It's crazy, but certainly we need to know about this, because clearly the Jesuits do, and the information is there to know too. Because again, we get to be in part responsible for our own health, and that's the beauty in taking responsibility and then acting on how to get our own health back. And hey, many of us, certain diseases, are we at a certain point where there's a point of no return? Certainly, it's all debatable. I did want to bring up a point, though. Back to let's say the Lance Armstrong narrative. Talk about a narrative where here's a high-profile athlete, and his cancer treatment. So this is 96, and just as I presented in, I can't remember which off the top, but I've done two at least somewhat lengthy videos about Armstrong and the Armstrong narrative. And the first one certainly discussed the narrative of his health, the cancer diagnosis in 1996, and then the treatment, and then coming back, and then continuing to take performance enhancing drugs while selling a narrative to the world that cancer survivor wins the Tour, the hardest, potentially, and if not probably the hardest race on the planet, the Tour de France. Grueling event, and winning it clean amongst doped competitors. But back to the narrative, though, that his cancer treatment was tailored for his essentially his profession, his athletic abilities, where I can't remember the certain names, but the treatment that he received supposedly didn't damage his lungs, which was in part what allowed him to return to the pro level post cancer. Anyway, the narrative is crazy, but whether you know a little or a lot about it, it certainly was to sell a narrative, and everybody involved made a shit ton of money. All right. Hockey tall topics. Yeah, no, I do. We go from stem to stern, balls to bones, shit to shit to sky. You know, we what's best for skin cancers? Look, if that's, remember the skin being the largest organ of the body. If you got skin cancer, there's something going on deeper. Remember, I'm not a doctor. All I work from is my own experience, what I've experienced. Hey, good morning, God morning. But if you're Thursday, are you? Is skin cancer something you're battling with right now? Then it's funny. Then there's yeah, no, there's so much material to get into. Anyway, I wasn't planning on going this long, but these are all, hey, relevant topics and questions. Yeah, black salve. I've heard of it, never used it. Really appreciate all Hawk. Hey, as crazy it is. Like I say, it's in part like there's nothing to. It's again the idea. Once you start pulling 2+ footers out, I've not passed the tapeworm at this time, but I've heard of those experiences where a person actually has to pull. They pass the tail, and clearly it's segmented, but having to pull whether it's 5 feet, I can't remember even the longest that a person has passed, but nonetheless, pulling it out and feeling. That's just we're breaking the subject matter wide open. But feeling it being pulled up in your tummy, that's pretty wild. And this one part, so the beginning of September also still reminds me. Dr. Hulda Regier Clark, Canadian doctor, she's passed. But most of her work, as I've personally described to Johnny, nobody anywhere else that's described what I've experienced, especially specifically with the internal world. But that's a friend. I think that we'll leave that for another time. Okay, I'm going to be signing off. It's wow, we're TikTok. All right, you guys, much love. And hey, Terzna, let's see if I can name you all. Lauren, Benjamin, Eric, AWO. Scrolling through. I'm sorry if I miss you, but thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Yeah, hope. I should be on tomorrow night around the 11 o'clock mark. I'll shoot for that. And okay. All right, guys, bless you. And again, much love.